Welcome back to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network. We're talking to all the CTOs, or a lot of the CTOs across the community, both our partners and in the agencies. And right now we're talking about a specific example. I'm going to go up to you, Ron, at Department of Justice. Give us an example of something that you sort of brought out of the lab, if you will, rolled it into production.
So I love to hear all the examples. I think I'm going to build a little bit on the theme from the data side. We've seen improved data sharing and the use of geospatial technologies during national events and for investigations. So GIS and data has long been an important capability and something I've been involved with, but awareness has really grown sort of really across the federal sphere since the Geospatial Data Act came out. So our geospatial strategy is an extension of our overarching data strategy. And I'm lucky to be one of the tri-chairs for our community of interest with 2 geospatial experts from our components. They help to ensure that we have a thriving community that shares our practices, identifies resources, and honestly, they're good partners with each other. They really share new use cases that really gets everyone thinking. And this year, we even hosted our second really well-attended geospatial showcase. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you, Ron. I really do appreciate that. We're going to go to priorities. I'm going to start with you, Sanjay. Top priority for you right now for this year?
Top priority is improving customer experience. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but for us, it means specifically being able to reach the underserved communities. All of our programs that we're delivering on behalf of the nation's economic recovery initiative, they need to get to the underserved communities. So all of the technologies we've talked about across the panel here today, any or all of them are being focused around trying to deliver better, improved customer experiences and specifically being able to get to the underserved communities.
Fantastic. Brian Campo, top priority for you at DHS?
Yeah, I think Sanjay hit the nail on the head. I think it's a combination of customer experience and faster delivery. For us, it's all about trying to reduce the burden that we put on all of our customers, which would be, citizens, other partners around the federal government, trying to understand their needs a little bit more, trying to understand a little bit more about how we can get them information and capability quicker, and then just delivering that capability more often, right? Figuring out ways to get capability through the ideation phase, through the requirements phase, and out to the customers as quick as possible. Things like SecDevOps, UI, UX, customer experience management, stakeholder management. All of those things are really what we're focused on, and they kind of go across the board.
Focus on that citizen, focus on that farmer, that operator, a small business owner, the adjudicator. I love it. Speaking of adjudicator, Rob Brown, top priority for you over at Citizenship and Immigration Services?
Definitely human-centered design at the forefront. To be more specific, looking at learning and smart services, so dynamic platforms, smart decision automation, managed recognition, more of the connected edge systems that we could take advantage of, more of the voice, visual, activated workflows are some of the areas we're really focusing on with the backdrop of human-centered design and customer experience. That as well, coupled with AI and ML plus adaptive services. So ultimately looking at 100% AI or bot facilitated call centers as an example. Again, data as a service, as our staff, adjudicators, as well as our customers are more tech savvy and demand more of us. So we want to make sure we're ahead of that. Automated pre-adjudication. And then really AI and ML embedded in all delivery and software to, again, provide a more robust experience.
All packaged together for a great experience. Sounds awesome. Ron, how about over at Department of Justice? Top priority.
So loving what I'm hearing. So people advancing data and the AI strategies, the cyber EO, and continuing to insert modern technologies like cloud, IDPs, comms, zero trust brokers, low code, advancing computational capabilities, edge computing. Great list out here today. All of it's on deck. Thanks, Luke.
Fantastic. And, really seeing the extraction above the line of these technologies and again, out of the pliers and wires kind of conversation, focusing on the user experience. Jonathan, one priority that you see for ServiceNow this year?
I think the priority is bringing these different technologies together in a form of hyper automation. All of these things we've talked about, whether it's AI or robotic process automation, workflow, these are all great individual tools that could do a lot for an agency, but I think it's really a better together story. When you bring it all together, you're limited only by your imagination in a lot of ways about how these different these different technologies can work together to change the way your agency operates. I think, we can move this idea of automation, really away from, a single process or function, but to end-to-end digital processes that work across an agency and take people's focus away from the administrative tasks and mundane kinds of things to the higher value work that we should all be focused on. So we're talking a lot about that and seeing activities across a wide variety of organizations.
Stitching it all together. Okay, we're going to have to wrap it up to this last question. I'm going to ask Cal, if you want to throw in your top priority, you can go ahead and do that, along with tell us what it's going to look like over the next couple of years. What's the demand signal out there? What do you guys got in the Petri dish?
Absolutely. There are two top priorities where we are actually focusing on. One is data governance and data management. And the second one actually is 5G. We are looking at the implications of 5G and on the architecture, end-to-end architecture that Jonathan was talking about. And with respect to what are some of the things that I think how this technology can help in the vision for the future, let me give you some very concrete examples. I know a student of mine in Sunday school, she has a cancer. And in Stanford, they said that they cannot diagnose that because there is not enough data for them to figure out what's the cure. So the family has moved to Houston to get better treatment, but they're finding there is not enough data sharing across different organizations to find a cure for that. So the vision of this data sharing and this AI ultimately is to help for scenarios like that. There were senior citizens in our neighborhood who were asked to evacuate because there was fire in the neighborhood, but in reality, the fire was a little bit farther away. So there was, again, lack of data sharing between the different organizations. So in future, I believe with proper managed data sharing, we can really help humanity. And I think that's the direction we are going, and that's what we're working towards.
Right data to the right individuals at the right time. Sounds awesome, and really looking forward to that. Thank you for that. Gary, can you give us your top priority? And then again, what does it look like around the corner over the horizon? What's the demand signal that you all are seeing?
Yeah, I think it's just continuing that kind of data management. One of the things that I'm keenly focused on is educating our customers and our government partners to let them know that we're more than just kind of block storage, which is what a lot of people historically have thought about us. We have a broad end-to-end data portfolio that we can help with the AI ML. We can help them with data management. We can help with cloud modernization. So a lot of it is around that education and letting them know that, hey, we're more than just, flash technology that's resilient and very performant, but we do have that broad portfolio that we can help bring to bear on those data challenges.
Yes, super important flash technology, but all these other activities, including awareness, super important as well. Jonathan, what are you all seeing there? What are you cooking up in the Petri dish over there at ServiceNow that is going to need to be available to the community in the next couple of years?
I think, again, it's this idea of these disparate technologies, but being brought together on a single platform. And, one of the things that we're very proud of at ServiceNow is that, our platform is we think unique because it's a single technology. It's one architecture, it's one database, but core to the platform are the AI capabilities, RPA capabilities that we've recently acquired, as well as visibility tools. And when you have all of those capabilities in one place, in one database, you can do a lot of unique things very quickly and with less operational risk, because you're not dealing with the complex integration of different tools. We can bring together the data across the systems of record that we know we need for end-to-end workflows and different business processes available with the technologies that are core to the ServiceNow platform, you know, sets a foundation for real digital transformation.
Sure, and a super important aspect of this whole journey that we're all on. Rob Brown, you mentioned that you're working closely with folks that are developing different types of software to make sure you get your needs and requirements put in there. But undoubtedly, I know you're also working with folks that are still thinking and designing things. What's it looking like out there? What are you guys cooking up in regards to things that you know are going to be needed during this immigration lifecycle journey?
So again, it's the real core, and what we've been looking at more and more is just full digitization. How can we do more pre-adjudication? How do we get out of the business of static code workflows and business rules to make them more dynamic and event-driven? These are some of the areas and some of the technologies we're looking at, a lot of which is pretty cutting edge, alpha and beta. And then trying to leverage that across the various delivery divisions that we have at CIS. I'd be remiss to say that part of that is going back to what Brian and I are working on that innovative technical governance, is looking towards having developer portals, not just for the folks that we contract with and the experts, but these developer portals that can provide those libraries and those frameworks almost in a push button manner to build that unified pipeline that essentially is ATO'd. So we're looking at not only these technologies to help the mission, but also to provide those standards governance in a very innovative way to enable faster delivery, a little bit cleaner methods of building those pipelines. And we've partnered again with one group we've partnered with is with Spotify to understand how they do development. With microservices, it's a sprawl. So we're trying to understand how we can bring the reins back in and start to really capitalize on what we've built and reduce some of that redundancy.
And put
so
some
of the areas we're looking at.
Yeah, and put some framework and structure together. And it's almost like you're franchising out some of that development, but there's some context around it and some security around it, so it can be done safely. That sounds awesome. Sanjay, how about at SBA? You all are certainly on a journey. There's no unmet demand that's not going to get a challenge over there. What are you looking at as far as over the next couple of years about how small business owners are going to interact with SBA?
Yeah, Luke, and I think one of the things we've been laid the foundation a couple of years ago, and we're looking to accelerate it, is what I call as a 360 view of the customer, specifically the SBA customer. We have many touch points with our customers through our various programs, and we tend to sort of have a siloed effort around it. And so we're saying, if we understand a customer, the SBA customer, we should be able to, interact with this customer, knowing what we have done or have worked with in the past through our different programs. So that's one foundational element, and I think we are making good progress around it in that dimension. But sort of going forward, I know there was another aspect to your question about what's the future looking like, what's the vision? For me, it's basically 6 words: think big, start small, iterate rapidly. So what does that mean? Have a grand vision, think big, look for the moon, look for the stars, look for the Marses of the world, look for the next galaxy. You have to have a grandiose vision. We got to start small in a very tangible manner, very specific manner, specific to the business, specific to the mission, and demonstrate value to them. And as you're doing that, you're learning, and then you're iterating through that. And then the final thought I would say is, we have to be bold, we have to be confident, and we got to challenge the status quo.
Sure. My professor used to say, you got to have a big, hairy, audacious goal, but at the end of the day, you got to put product on the ground as well. So it's a good blend there. Brian, how about over Department of Homeland Security? Tell us what's it looking like out there in a couple of years as you all continue on this maturity journey?
Yeah, I think we're looking at a few different things. I think, always trying to get out in front of technology is really what CTOs do across the board. I think really we're looking at, data as an asset. We are also looking at trying to, better leverage some of the, the existing priorities. So, we're always trying to mature our zero trust. I think I've talked about in the past, sort of our 2-year forecast for zero trust. One of the things that'll be really interesting is bringing data into the Zero Trust fold. We're working now with the application owners, starting to have some conversations about how do we make data more secure. So inside of applications, not only are we doing identity management, not only are we looking at how do we evaluate every request to an application, but now how do we actually start protecting the data in an application, even outside of the application's permission. So, starting to look at some of our endpoints, some of our policy decision points, even some of our specific evaluations of security protocols, but applying that into the data so we make sure that we get ahead of any attempts to compromise systems and can actually protect the data even outside of the system that it's owned by.
A very delicate balance of trying to do the right things at a department level, unlock this capability, and then sort of step away, if you will, so the Rob Browns of the world can come in there and again drive those Ferraris down that track. I think it's really important. Sounds like you're striking a great balance there. Ron, how about over Department of Justice? Take us home here. What's it going to look like in a couple of years as you look across that specter?
I think there's a lot to be done. So I think we need to put the people first, and I think Rob Brown said it great about the focus on the user experience. We need proper and effective data management, and we're going to do that through advancing our data strategy. This is going to enable the use, the appropriate sharing, and analytics, and it's going to advance the value of the data. Brian Campo made some great points today on the data management side and the value of the data. We need to understand your users and data and how that will allow us to unlock our capabilities for cybersecurity and innovation. And honestly, Sanjay made some great points there also. From my perspective, examples include modern identity management, AI and analytics, zero trust, the importance of completing your transition to IPv6 and how we're going to phase that in. And we need to look at the computational capability. As Gary talked about higher performance computing and Cal talked about the benefits of GPUs and computing on the edge, this is really important for analytics and insights, especially with the advancements of IoT and the enablement of 5G. And we're going to have to continue to work on increasing the speed of our developers. And looking at your development staff and the need for low code and no code, Jonathan made great points there. Really, really important for us to continue to involve our workforce in bringing them into the development process. There's a lot left to do, as I said, Luke, and it's going to be an eventful journey as we move forward.
Right, and it's an evolution here, keeping the operator, if you will, in mind. And we really do appreciate that. Well, I want to thank all of you. I know some of you, many of you personally, and I know what you do on a daily basis. And I just want to say thank you for everything that you do, both on the partner side and certainly the federal service side. I'd like to thank the sponsors here for supporting us on the show. I'd like to thank the good people here at Federal News Network that make the program so successful and enjoyable. And most of all, I'd like to thank you, the listening audience out there that tune in every month. You've been listening to the Federal Executive Forum, which is part of the Federal News Network.